Hey Avid Armor family, I'm Nina. Thank you for joining us for our very first Facebook Live Q&A session. Today we're going to be answering your questions about the USV32 chamber vacuum sealer doing live demonstrations. We're going to start off with our most frequently asked questions, but feel free to follow along and answer additional questions as we go. Let's get started. All right, so one of the most popular questions that we get is how to vacuum seal liquids in the USV32 chamber vacuum sealer. So the most important thing to remember when you're doing liquids is to always make sure that you have plenty of headspace in your bag. That's going to allow the space for the liquid to go when it's laid down into the chamber. So we have our 6x12 chamber vacuum bag. This is about 16 ounces of soup, and we are going to go ahead and lay this down and put it over the tab. And clamp it down. As you can see, you have plenty of room, so it's not going to spill out. We have our vacuum time set to 40. Our seal time is set to 4. 4 should be plenty with any of our chamber vacuum sealer bags for a seal time setting. So we'll go ahead, press auto vac and seal. And right now the air is being removed from the entire chamber. You'll start to notice that there is some movement in the soup. This is because the atmospheric pressure in the chamber is lowering. You will begin to reach boiling point. And then now, once it gets about 2 seconds, it's going to switch into seal mode. It's sealing the bag. And then what it does is it lets all the air back into the chamber, and that's what vacuum seals the bag. So now you have liquid soup ready for storage. All right. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the marinate function. So the USV32 has a marinate function where you actually are going to marinate your steak or whatever you want directly inside the chamber. Now for the marinate function, you don't have to actually use a bag because it does not use the seal bar to seal the bag. So you can put it in a bag inside the chamber, but just keep in mind that you don't want it to overflow when it's under vacuum. So sometimes it's easier just to get any old container that you have or one of our marinating canisters. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some plastic wrap over it. And all that's going to do is that's going to help prevent splatters inside the chamber because it will reach boiling point, so it will be bubbling during the marinating process. So the marinating function is 99 seconds. It's going to put the chamber under vacuum, and we're just going to show it to you one time, but we do suggest doing it 2 or 3 times just to get maximum penetration into your food. So close it. So we're down to about 75 seconds right now. What this is doing, since the chamber is under vacuum, is it's opening up the pores of the meat and allowing that marinade to penetrate into it, and then you're going to get a much more tender piece of meat after it's all done. And this is basically rapid marination, so you could do the same thing by vacuum sealing a chamber bag and then leaving it in your refrigerator. But you can see it's starting to boil now. And again, the boiling, it's not a cook boil. It's, since you're lowering the atmospheric pressure in the chamber, you're actually lowering the boiling point, but it's not a cook boil. about 15 seconds left. And then now that just let all the air back into the chamber. So again, we'll just, for the sake of time, we're just going to do one. But we would suggest you going ahead and repeating that cycle a couple more times, and then your steak or whatever you're marinating will be ready to go. All right. Another very popular question that we get is if you can seal mason jars in the vacuum chamber. And the answer is yes. So the only thing that you have to keep in mind is it does have to be small enough to fit in the chamber. So the largest size that you can do is a quart size mason jar. So what you're going to do is you're going to add your product to the mason jar, and this one's vacuumed. Hang on, we'll come back to this one. We accidentally got a already vacuumed mason jar. Let me read, hang on one second. Let me read a couple of the questions that we're asking. Is the USV32 big enough for a turkey breast and turkey leg? It's going to kind of depend on the size. The largest size bag that we have is 11 by 13, which could probably fit roughly, I would say, 5 to 6 pounds of meat comfortably, depending on the shape of it. So I would say yes, but the cool thing is if you cannot fit that turkey leg into the actual chamber itself, there is a little hack that you can do by putting the bag. Actually, you have to use a regular vacuum sealer bag that has the texture, but you can put it externally on the chamber on the outside. Here, I think we have something that we can, okay. Here, I have a chicken breast that will vacuum seal externally. If this didn't fit inside the chamber, you can use a regular suction vacuum sealer bag. So it does have to have the texture on it, not a chamber vacuum sealer bag, but all you would have to do is lay it over the seal bar, place the rest of the bag externally, and then it will vacuum seal like a standard suction vacuum sealer. You don't want to do this if you have liquids or anything else, because it will suck the juices inside of the chamber, and you don't want to do that. This is only for things that are too big to fit inside of the chamber. We probably could have done a little bit shorter of a vacuum time on that one, but that's okay. So now that has been sealed and that is ready for storage. So I'm going to go real quick back to the mason jar since we couldn't do that. But again, you can vacuum seal mason jars directly in the chamber as long as it can fit in the chamber, either standing up or laying down. So what you'll want to do, put your food item in the mason jar, put the cap on, it's not vacuumed, and then you'll put the ring on, but make sure to only screw it on lightly. It's basically just enough to make sure that that cap stays on when you lay it down on its side. So we're going to lay that down in the chamber, close the lid, and I'm going to change the vacuum time on this down to 20. That should be plenty sufficient to vacuum seal the mason jar. And then auto vacuum seal. All right. Let the air back in the chamber. And you can, oh, it failed that time. Well, this is live. Things always go wrong, right? We'll do it one more time. I'll increase the vacuum time. I really hope that this worked this time because I promise it does work. There we go. Okay, so now you'll see that the lid is vacuumed on. You don't get that clicking anymore. So that is now ready for storage. All right, back to the marinating function. Someone asked if it had to be glass or if it can be plastic. It can be plastic. Just make sure it's very strong, because if it's flexible, then that the container can definitely bend under the pressure. Another question somebody asked is, how do you know what vacuum time to set depending on what you're sealing? So that's a loaded question because there are so many variables with a chamber vacuum sealer. But I have a few things that I'll show you. I have 2 hamburger patties here, and the way that we're going to seal both of them using different scenarios. But one thing to remember when using a chamber vacuum sealer is that the more air that is left in the chamber, you're going to need either a higher vacuum time, or if there's less air and you have a bigger item that you're vacuum sealing, you can use a lower vacuum time. So what we're going to do, I'm going to change our vacuum time setting to 50. That's kind of the standard default setting for the USV32, and it's definitely a good starting point. So when you're vacuum sealing a smaller item, it's always a good idea to fill the chamber with stuff, so that way you can reduce that vacuum time. So these are our USV32 filler plates. You can actually, if you don't have our filler plates, you can use a book, a cutting board, or anything in the chamber to occupy space. Another thing that you'll always want to keep in mind is the size of the bag that you're using. So technically, I would say this bag is probably a little bit big for this little hamburger patty. But for this example, I'll go ahead and show you the difference that it makes. So we're going to go ahead and seal this patty. This is our 8x12 vacuum or chamber vacuum pouch. We'll put that in there. This is, remember, we have the filler plates in here, vacuum time setting of 4, vacuum time setting of 50, seal time setting of 4. We'll go ahead and vacuum seal this. And then I'll show you the difference without the filler plates. About 10 seconds left. Whenever it gets to 2 seconds, it's going to switch over to the seal mode. It's sealing the bag, and then now it's going to put the air back into the chamber. All right, so in this scenario, we got a pretty tight vacuum using the 8x12 bag, this small patty. I really don't see any air pockets. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except for we're going to remove the filler plates. So what that's doing is now we're adding more air to the chamber, and we're going to use the same vacuum time, same size hamburger patty, same bag, and then I'm going to show you the difference of what it makes on that vacuum level. All right, it's about to seal mode. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to show you the difference that just those two little filler plates did at 50 seconds. So here's without the filler plates, and here's with. You could maybe possibly say there are a few little air bubbles in this one. Yep, right here. And then you can really tell that this one was vacuumed more, because you're starting to see a little bit of the seepage of the moisture in the hamburger patty. So I hope that helps. Again, if you want a tighter vacuum, add filler plates, reduce your bag size, up your vacuum time. All right. Next, one of the popular questions is if we can seal vacuum seal Mylar bags in the chamber vacuum sealer, and the answer is yes. So we have a Mylar bag here filled with coffee. This is it's just a foil Mylar bag, 7 mil, and what we'll do, we'll keep the same vacuum time at 50 that we used for the last examples. But since this is a thicker bag than our standard vacuum sealer bags, that means we're going to need to up our seal time. So we normally do a seal time setting of 4. So I'm going to go ahead and up this to a 7. And again, depending on your bag, you might need to play with that to see what is going to be the best scenario for your bag. So we'll go ahead and seal that. All right, it's sealing. 7 seconds. And now you have a nice, tightly sealed coffee bag, Mylar bag. Okay, and again, always check your seal to make sure that it thoroughly sealed. And if you need to, you can adjust your seal time up or down depending on how that turned out. And that leads me to a question that somebody had about how to determine if your seal, what was it? How to determine? Just how to ensure a good seal. How to ensure a good seal. So I'm assuming that they're meaning the heat seal on that. So I kind of refer to this as the vacuum, and then this is going to be your seal or your heat seal. So things to check for is to make sure, and I know this is hard to see, but on a good seal, you're going to want to make sure that it's clean and consistent all the way across. If there are any bubbles, any wrinkles in it, it's going to leak. Oh yeah, here, let's see. This might be able to, you can probably see that a little bit better. I might be able to. So one thing to keep in mind to get a good seal is to always leave a lot of headspace in the bag, because if your bag is too full, and this might not be the best example, but if this was a whole loaf of bread and it was all the way up to here, that's not going to leave much room for me to make sure that this is nice and flat across the seal bar. So making sure you have plenty of headspace in your bag to make sure that when you lay this across here, it's nice and flat. Let me put a little bit more bread in here. So if I tried to seal this whole, sorry for the mess, this whole loaf of bread, you can see I don't have as much room to lay this down. And so whenever I try to lay it down, the bag is going to be crinkly and wrinkly, and you're going to get a bad seal. It's going to cause leaking. So just keep that in mind whenever you're vacuum sealing anything for that matter. That also even applies to regular vacuum sealers, not just chamber sealers, because that seal is so critical, so that way you don't get leaking. Let's see. Someone asked, is it recommended to do a double seal? I don't necessarily think so. The USV32 does already have a double seal, so it's kind of like double insurance that's going to work, but always check your seals to make sure that there's no wrinkles. If you see a wrinkle or a bubble, or even if it's questionable, yeah, go ahead and put another seal on it. That's not going to harm anything. All right. One of our other big common questions that we get is, how do you seal delicate items in the USV32? And I will say that it is a little bit difficult, just because the sealer does have to pull a partial vacuum in order to make a seal. It can be done. You just got to keep a few things in mind when you're doing it. So the first thing is always set your vacuum time for as low as possible. So with the 32, it's 20 seconds. Again, depending on what you're doing, that you could bump it up, or depending on how much of a vacuum seal that you want on it. So kind of the opposite scenario of the meat, where you wanted a really tight vacuum on it. If you have a delicate item, this is a loaf of bread that you don't want to completely smush. Bigger the bag, the better. Okay, because that's going to leave more. There's more air in the bag. There's more air in the chamber, so you will get less of a vacuum the larger of the bag that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and place this in here. Again, I got this vacuum time set to 20, and we'll go ahead and run it. And then I have another bag that's definitely smaller that we're going to do at the same settings and show you the difference that makes. All right, it's sealing the bag. All right, so you can see it did seal the bag. It's got a vacuum on it. It is compressed a little bit, but not too bad. Because remember, as soon as you unvacuum that, it's going to bounce right back up because it's bread. So now we're going to seal same size of bread loaf, but in a smaller bag, and just show you the difference that it makes. All right, got that set. Remember, and for the last one, I did actually forget to change the seal time setting back down to 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I don't melt my seal. All right, it's sealing, and watch it do the damage. There you go. So now you can see the difference. Oh, look at this. I actually gave myself an example of a bad seal because it wasn't, I think the headspace wasn't enough in this bag. So if you can see all those wrinkles in that seal? That's prime air leaking gaps for the air to be lost. So I would definitely either repackage this and seal it again, or just put another seal on it if there's room. But here's the difference between a big bag and a little bag for the same exact item, same exact seal time. So larger bag for doing delicate items, that should do the trick. Okay, bad seal, good seal. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? We had someone ask about, let's see, can you overseal or overseal and melt a seal? And the answer is absolutely yes. If it's too hot of a setting, you can melt through the seal, which again can cause leaking. If you notice that the seal is like a milky color, that will indicate that or it could just be melted all the way through. Or if you see the bag begin to like stretch at all, that's definitely too much time on your heat setting, or your seal time setting. Let's see. When you sous vide, do you need to keep the seal? Okay. So one of the questions was when you sous vide, do you need to keep the seal out of the water, or is it okay to submerge it, the entire bag? Absolutely, it's okay to submerge the entire bag. This, if you have a good positive seal on your bag, there should be no water leaking in there either. But again, if you have a bad seal and you submerge that into water, then you will get leaking. So it's all about the seal. Make sure that that's complete. Let's see, any other questions? All right, we're going to give a couple more minutes to see if there's any other questions and see if there's anything else that I can demonstrate. Oh, I have one other thing. If you, kind of the same concept as sealing a regular vacuum sealer bag externally, somebody asked if you can seal without a vacuum at all. Well, the USV32 does have to pull a partial vacuum in order to make a seal. So you can do it externally without a vacuum. And for this example, you do have to use a chamber bag because you don't want any vacuum. If you use a regular vacuum sealer bag, it will pull the vacuum. So we'll go ahead and do just a seal only on this bread. because we just want to seal it back up, make sure it's... So place that over the seal bar, and then we're going to do the seal only function on this one. I know it's hard to see, but there's no vacuum on the bag. It's sealing the bag. So now you can see you have it sealed, I promise. But there's no vacuum on it. So if you just want to reseal a bag, that's a great way to do it. All right, well, I think that's it for today. I hope we answered most of your questions. If you have any other questions regarding our USV32 chamber vacuum sealer or any of our other sealers, please email us at info@avidarmor.com and we'd be happy to help. Thanks so much. Have a good day.